is it with people from Chicago that they're so happy to have been born there?
Chicago, when does it happen?
So many people can't wait to tell me they're from Chicago.
You wouldn't understand.
The Bears Nation Podcast, powered by On Tap Sports Network.
I've been here 9 months. Things have gone very quickly. We've accomplished a lot, but I'm extremely impatient.
It is a beautiful day in Chicago.
I'm competitive. I want to win, but I also want to do it with integrity and style and grace and class and humility.
We'll call Chicago and notify them of the situation.
This is a destination. People want to come to Chicago.
Hello, Chicago!
And as I sit here today, unequivocally, I believe that we have the right set of individuals, and my expectations going into this season are extremely high, that we need to win the NFC North.
See you in the Super Bowl.
It's the Bears Nation Podcast with Kevin Lapka and Jay Kassan.
Both men of Chicago.
It's Bears Nation, baby.
We're going to take the North and never give it back.
Let's go.
All right, welcome in. It is Bears Nation Podcast. It is Monday, February 26th, and we are a couple days away from the Combine, and it's a day that ends in Y, so there's more discourse about Caleb Williams and Justin Fields. Stop me if you've heard that one before. But myself, Jake Hassan with Kevin Lapka, and take a wild guess what we're going to talk about. Really shouldn't take you that long to get there, but I know Kevin's was in the lab, cooked up some hypotheticals that we're going to get to. So, hello.
How are you? It's been a minute. Are we feeling good?
It's been, what, a month? Almost 2?
Yeah. Since we've been on the show together.
Yes.
We did an episode with Clay Harbor a couple days ago, but there's nothing like being in here with Jake and getting angry and debating. And
I'm not even angry anymore. It's just like, can we just...
You're tired of it? You're like Justin Fields. You want it to be over.
I'm apathetic at this point.
I don't know if apathetic's the right word.
Like,
you're not apathetic.
I'm apathetic until something happens. Like,
no, you're not.
Yeah. You said that because you presented that sentence very much like Shane Reardon and like gave me the.
You want something to happen. You know what you want to happen. That's not being apathetic. You want the Bears to trade the number 1 pick to trade Justin Fields and get Caleb Williams.
Yes. Okay. Again, before everyone in the comments gets mad at me, I want that to happen. I want something to happen. I am not firmly in the camp of one of these things needs to happen. I'm fine with either. Just as long as you pick a lane. Because if I swear to God, Kevin, if they draft Williams and keep Fields, I'm going to lose my mind.
It's a disaster.
I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to have an aneurysm. Like I will lose a blood vessel because it will just pop. Like this one in my temple will just pop and I'll die on camera. Like it's just don't do that. Just pick one and stick with that is all I'm asking for. I'm fine either way, truly. If they keep Fields and they trade number 1 overall to the Falcons, or, which I'm sure you're going to bring up in a scenario, if they trade it twice, if they trade it 2 or 3 and then trade down again, fine. Or I'm fine if they take Williams and then they draft, let's say, Rome Odunze with the 9th overall. That would be great. That would be a great scenario, in my opinion. But it's just, can we do something? And I know like the Combine's about to happen. And so it's probably in the next week or so. If it was going to happen, it's probably going to happen around now, if I had to guess. Because remember, Poles traded the number 1 overall pick last year, 3 days after the Combine ended, I think it was. It was 3 or 4 days, something like that.
8th or something, yeah.
It was like right after. So I just want something to happen so that we don't have to play this game of, this hypotheticals. And I would just rather have it in front of me, know what's already happened, and then analyze from there.
Here's the question I have for you, though. The longer you prolong it, does that raise the value? I think in the sense of trading the 1st overall pick, because the value of Caleb Williams doesn't really change unless he gets hurt in pro day, right? We kind of know what he's not throwing at the combine. Yeah. The only way value could change for them, and we talked about this a little bit in our last episode with Clay Harbor, was if they meet with him and they don't really like what they met with him at the combine, they didn't like his vibe, but that's value to them. That's not anyone else. So if they keep this going longer, does the value of the 1st overall pick, increase or decrease? That's the question. Because if they're trying to drive up the price, because I think the Bears have done a great job of keeping everything under the rug, being very secretive about it, right? Yep. Shane Waldron goes up on the podium and tells you nothing.
Doesn't even mention anybody by name.
Unbelievable. Bears PR deserves a gold medal. But they are intentionally doing this. And they've always done this. They did this with Ryan Pace, right?
Sure.
They do a good job of keeping things quiet. So are they doing that to drive up the price? Are they having internal conversations? What do you think that increases if they stretch it out to mid-March? I don't think you can go to April. I think you have to figure it out around the first week of free agency. But do you increase the value of that pick or decrease it the longer you hold on to it?
I think it can only go up. I don't think it can decrease because the longer it goes, you're hoping for some team to get desperate or for teams to just think that you're just picking Caleb Williams.
Right.
So I don't think it decreases at all. I think it's either it stays where it is right now or it goes up because somebody gets desperate and overpays and panics.
So the only other situation where I think that wouldn't be true is if Washington came to you like a week ago and said, hey, we're going to give you, we'll give you, or let's say New England, right? We'll give you one this year, or number 3 overall this year. We'll give you a first rounder next year, second rounder this year, and a second rounder next year. They throw that out there, and this was like a week ago, and they're just like, yeah, we'll sit and think about it. Then teams at that point, what will typically happen? Teams will be like, all right, like you missed your opportunity at the best offer. So because we threw out our best offer, you missed your opportunity at the best offer. We might lower it now because we gave it to you. You didn't want to take it then, so we're gonna have to bring it down. Unless the Bears are like, hey, that's not enough. We need more. Right. And they pressure them in to spending more. I don't know. It's
right,
really,
because then you could say, all right, well, then I'll just wait for Atlanta to call.
Right.
Or I'll wait for X team.
And then you're out of the running. Yeah,
right, exactly.
That's a good point.
Like that, the Bears, that's why I don't think it can decrease because the Bears have the leverage regardless.
And do you think it matters that it gets done before free agency? Like, is that important? Because what they do with that pick determines how they approach free agency.
No, I don't think that matters because realistically, you're probably like, because let's say it like this way, like I don't think it changed because if you're keeping the pick, you're taking a quarterback. So like if you were to like free agency wouldn't affect that at all. Like the Bears aren't going to sign Kirk Cousins. So like that, they're not going to sign Baker Mayfield. So I think that if you're the Bears, the only way I would think that impacts that is like your timeline for addressing certain positions. But even then, like it's better to have young, controllable players than not. So I still don't think that would impact that much.
Yeah,
I think it would change. Like I think it would reframe how you're approaching certain positions, maybe.
Wide receiver.
But overall, like yeah, I think you're relatively the same.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I don't think there's, and that's why it doesn't feel like there's a sense of urgency from the Bears. And again, I know like I just said, they've done a really good job of keeping this really quiet and not, showing their hand to anybody. And of course, things are going to get out, right? You're the second biggest market in the NFL, because 2 LA teams are, nothing out there. So things are going to get out, right? That's why you see reporting for Albert Breer. That's why you see reporting for Peter King that we're going to, talk about in just a little bit, right? These things happen, but from the mouths of the Bears, the only thing we've really heard is Kevin Warren talking really highly about Justin Fields in a one-on-one interview with Jarrett Payton, who's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. That'll be fun. But they've again, Eberflus goes to the podium, Waldron goes to the podium, and they tell you nothing, and that's intentional. So they're driving this up as much as they can, and I don't feel like for them there's a sense of urgency. They know, Jake, they know the gravity of this decision, right? Sure. And they know that they have to be diligent. And the thing I was talking about Clay with, and we got a lot of backlash on it with the comments on Instagram and TikTok were
shocker.
Well, I know, right? What a shocker. Backlash about this particular topic. It's actually unbearable. Like I months ago I said I can't tweet about Justin Fields anymore. Obviously that was a lie. But like, I mean, anyone who's around Bears Twitter, like the civil war that is Justin Fields versus Caleb Williams is out of hand. So for that reason, I'm ready for this to be over. But we were talking about how they're diligent. We believe Ryan Poles is diligent. We know Kevin Warren is diligent. We believe that the people who are controlling the organization right now are extremely diligent. So because I believe it was Albert Breer that said the decision we made around the combine, or they had their plan ready. How could you have your plan ready if you haven't even spoken to him in person? And everyone in the comments is like, oh, they know everything they need to know about Caleb Williams. Sure, they know everything they need to know. They know who his cousin's baby's name is, right? They know what he eats for breakfast and what video games he plays and what time he goes to sleep, right? They know all those things. but it's different when you're in a room with somebody, interacting with somebody one-on-one for the first time. To our knowledge, they've never had an hour-long meeting with Caleb Williams as a staff, with Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and Kevin Warren and the whole Bears brass in a room with the one prospect. So how could you make a decision about this without even meeting with the guy? It seems negligent. Is that do you agree with that? Are you like the people with the backlash in the comments that they just know what they need to know? Or do you think that?
Well, no, because if that was true, they wouldn't be doing the meetings at the combine. Like this wouldn't even be happening.
Yeah. So you believe that this honestly, the trade shouldn't happen for a couple more weeks then, until you at least meet with him at the combine, see what he's, and even
sure,
those meetings at the combine don't tell you everything.
Sure.
But it's something.
I would hear that argument. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's probably a good barometer. I would say, unless, and I don't believe this is true, but unless the Bears have already decided like it's not going to be Fields, it's going to be a rookie no matter what.
Right.
In that case, then like you would probably do the trade. But
yes,
in reality, they probably go through the combine, do all the meetings, sit down with all these guys, go from there, and then and that's a couple days later. That's when you would probably see a trade.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point. Like, if they've settled on Fields versus any of the rookies, then they'll make the trade, right? Because that makes sense. Because then, okay, you have a broader net open of Daniels and Penix and May and Caleb to choose from, instead of just honing in on Caleb, or Fields, right? If they have that broader net, then it makes more sense that, hey, we're going to trade the pick, or we're going to trade Fields, we're going to keep the pick, and we still may trade this pick, but we know we're going to go with a rookie. We know we're going to go that route for the team, which I still think would be an interesting approach for them if they were just like, hey, we're going to go by a rookie regardless before even, before knowing which one they're going to take, sure. Right? At which point it just seems interesting. So I'm brought up Peter King. He's retiring from sports writing, whatever.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Congrats. Yeah, I know. He's a good dude.
He'll be around.
He'll be around. He just became like an Odyssey NFL insider.
Yeah, he'll be around
3 months ago. But this art, so he does Football Morning in America, obviously, that his
famously, yep.
Similar like Brad Bake's 10 things that goes around the league, does his things. But this article was dominated by like his life story and how grateful he was. But at the bottom, he had Bears nuggets. He's like, last things I think before I stop writing for a little bit or whatever. And what he said was, I got to pull up the specific quote because I just had a drop. So here's what was in the article. He says, I suppose the Bears are going to trade the top pick. And for prior reference, for people who don't know, Peter King has been on the keep Justin Fields side for a long time. Like, that's just his opinion on what he thinks the team should do. So he continues. He says, quote, I know nothing, but that seems to be the way the wind is blowing. What I say, the Bears could keep Justin Fields and trade the first pick down once or twice and build the kind of supporting cast a team needs to contend. Suppose GM Ryan Poles traded the top pick down one spot to Washington, parentheses, which would take Caleb Williams, and got the second pick, a second-round pick, and a 2025 first-round pick in return. Then suppose Poles traded the second pick to Atlanta at 8, and the Falcons picked one of the other quarterbacks. In return, Chicago gets the 8th pick for that, Atlanta's second-round pick, and first and second-round picks next year. If they moved from 1 to 8 or 1 to 2 and then 2 to 8, they would end up with 9 first-round picks in the next, or 9 top 2-round picks in the next 2 years. But that's just, his idea for a trade. But the most important thing here to me, Jake, is, quote, that seems to be where the way the wind is blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if I'm reading too deep into the tea leaves on that, but this is a connected guy. That seems to be the way the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
Does that mean he's hearing that the Bears are trending toward potentially trading the pick? I don't know. Like, it's weird, diving into like, a specific writer's wordage of an article, but I know he says, I know nothing too.
Yeah. And I feel like at this point in time, like where we are, I just get the feeling like, and again, this is part of why I'm like so out on just like this whole discourse already, like until something actually happens, because where is this coming from? It's just as likely that this came from another team than it did come from the Bears.
Sure.
It's just as likely that this came from equipment manager X of the Patriots than it did from Kevin Warren or Ryan Poles.
Right.
So that's the whole, like, I think it could just be smoke to try and gain leverage from another team, or maybe it's the Bears trying to gain like it could be anything. So I again, until I actually see something in front of me that says like, hey, this is what's at, like, until I see the tweet that the pick has been traded or Fields has been traded, I don't really lean either way, because there's just too many outlets that it could be coming from for another team or the Bears themselves to be trying to gain leverage.
I think the only reason like Peter King is reputable is because last year he like broke the news that they were going to trade the number 1 overall pick, because he had that interview. He had a one-on-one with Ryan Poles, and he said he walked away from that knowing that they were going to trade the pick, and they eventually did like a week later after he wrote that article last year. But it was kind of consensus last year they're going to trade the pick.
Right.
Like it was more like an 80-20, 90-10% chance that was going to happen anyway.
It wasn't even more lopsided than that, to be honest.
Last year, probably like 100 to nothing. So it's obviously not, it wasn't as 50-50 as this is. I mean, I again, like, this won't be the last report that comes out.
Right.
There will be something
especially
else.
Especially this week.
And things you learn from the combine. But it's so weird. I got to be honest. And when you look at it personally, like, I've been so back and forth on it. Dude, like 7 days ago, I was like, they're taking Caleb Williams. Like, I just, that's just where my mind was. And literally in the last 7 days, as I've, saw people put out, potential trade packages for the first overall pick, and I've heard some other things, and I've seen things, and, the way they've kept quiet, and it kind of forces you to look at all sides of this, right? And make yourself believe one thing or the other. And here I am today, February 26th, I think they're going to trade the pick. And I think they're going to, accumulate all this draft capital. Whereas literally, February 19th, I was like sure that they were going to take Caleb Williams. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen. And then, you see things and you read things, and this is just own personal opinion. Like, this is just, where my mind is, because people ask me all the time, they know we're on Bears podcast. They know we work in sports media. Anytime I go out with my buddies, the first question they ask me is, what do you think the Bears are going to do with the first overall pick? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I could tell you what I want them to do, but I don't know what they're going to do. So at this moment, February 26th, that's where I am. Where are you? What do you think they're going to do? This might change in 4 days, but let's do a heat check here.
Well, I famously, the last time we were on this podcast, I said that keeping Eberflus seemed to indicate to me that they were going to keep Fields. I kind of think they're going to take Caleb Williams now.
Okay.
I kind of think they're going to, like, I just think that if it was like, the reason being because they've had every single opportunity to even talk about Justin Fields as a player. Or as like, and it's very bizarre, like all the silence.
Kevin Warren, though?
Yeah.
Does that mean anything to you?
Not really. He's a nice man, but I like whatever. Okay.
I mean, his opinion holds weight, whether you deny it or not.
It holds weight, but it's not like Ted Phillips making what I mean? Like, he's not making the decisions.
We don't know that.
Probably. I hope. Anyway, not the point. We're getting off track. But like, it's just based on what's happened, and I know like the Instagram thing doesn't matter, but it kind of like does. It's just weird. It matters in that it's just weird. So I just think there would have been more. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, I'm trying to say, like, there would have been something more ironclad, like in support of Fields at this point, or like from him. Like, I know he keeps saying, I want to play in Chicago, I want to be here, but like, it just feels so much more up in the air than it did last year. And for that reason, I feel like they're going to keep the number 1 overall pick. I'm not super sold on that. Like, I'm like 60-40 on it.
Okay.
Like you said, something could happen today that changed my mind completely. But as of right now, February 26th, it feels like they're going to trade Justin Fields and keep the pick.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's an ever-changing thing. And it's again, this is why it's so frustrating for Bears fans. And this is why you see the climate as it is because we just don't know. You don't know. I don't know what Ryan Poles is doing. There's people on my mentions who are like, yo, shut the hell up. You don't know what he's doing. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Obviously, anytime I tweet, it's pure speculation, and I'm just trying to entertain all possible avenues. I don't know what he's going to do. Neither do you. So why are you coming at me for it? It's just ridiculous, and it's kind of annoying. But I think as this evolves, the biggest key, if you're Ryan Poles, is gauging the offers. Right. And if you get to a point where you get an offer you can't like turn down and that's in front of you, like he might just like be on the phone there and pull the trigger. Like if he gets this offer that he's wanted from a Patriots or a Commanders or maybe someone even further down like an Atlanta, and they give up a little more. He uses leverage. They give up more than they ever wanted to because they're that desperate. And, the Commanders have Cliff Kingsbury, and they obviously are going to make a serious push for Caleb Williams for a variety of reasons. But if they're on the phone and, he's like, you know what? You really want to do this, New England? Like, you want Caleb Williams this bad? Will you give me another first in 2026? And they're like, all right, F it. He's going to take it. Like, I think he will.
If you get something that blows you away, like, right. And that's what I mean. Like, it's all conjecture until something actually happens. Until we're just going to keep doing this dance, but it's just like, it's all conjecture until then. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I don't know who wrote this article, but this was an NFL.com article about the potential trade, or around the NFL, about the potential trades and a potential haul that the Bears could receive in a first overall pick. And these are hypotheticals, but, same kind of deal, uses historical precedent, uses, what teams are likely to give up for a prospect of Caleb Williams' caliber, all these different things, right? We've seen trades like this in the first round a number of times in NFL history. So it's all based on what you could get. And these things, these aren't really outlandish at all, in my opinion. These are all pretty, pretty reasonable. So let me read these to you. And as I go one by one, you're just going to tell me your play Ryan pulls. You're going to tell me if you accept or deny, all right? So this is a trade with the Washington Commanders down to 2. So the Bears would obviously give the first overall pick, and in return would receive the number 2 overall pick, a second-round pick this year, which is number 36 overall, which is almost pretty much a first-rounder, second-round pick this year as well, number 40, which is 36 and 40 in the second round. You're getting 2 really good players. And then a third round pick this year, which is the Commanders compensatory. So you receive in total the second overall pick, 2 second round picks, number 36, number 40, and a third round pick this year. We don't know exactly where that pick is yet because it's compensatory. Yes or no?
See, so I would love to just say yes or no, but like, it's like
not that easy.
Right. Because and this is part of like what the meetings and everything is important this week, because if the Bears walk away from this week and they have Drake May and Caleb Williams close to each other, then yeah, of course you're taking that. Because if you're walking away like, all right, fine, we're fine with either of these guys.
Yeah.
Because now whatever personal feelings about Drake May aside, like people are saying that he could be like Justin Herbert. Like, and I know you don't feel that way about him. I am up in the air. I'm not going to. I haven't been locked in on North Carolina football for the last couple of years, and I know Bears fans would lose their minds because UNC scars. But if the Bears have these guys closely rated, then yeah, sure, you do that. But if it's Caleb Williams, then 50 feet of crap, and then Drake May or Jaden Daniels or whoever, then probably no. It's all so ambiguous.
Likelihood this ends in them taking a quarterback that's not named Caleb Williams in the first round. Because to me, that just seems like insanely unlikely.
I don't think it's 0. I think it's like
1.
10. I would say it's like 50 Caleb, 40 Justin, 10 anybody else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to walk away with this with either Caleb Williams or Justin Fields. Yeah, like
you don't have to.
You don't have to, but I think you should. And it's funny because I think Jaden Daniels and Michael Penix Jr. might be the 2 best quarterbacks that come out of this class. Surprisingly enough.
Unfortunately, Michael Penix Jr. is 73 years old. So.
Relax. He's 25 years old and he throws lefty. So everyone's like, he sucks. Or is he 24? Quarterbacks play till they're 38. He'll be 13 years in the NFL.
Yeah, he's also had his knee explode twice
already.
True.
All right, you make a good point with that. All right, so Commanders, you never gave me an answer. Are you just give me an answer for the sake of the bit, please?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Accept?
Sure.
Okay. Awesome. Good. Me too. This is a trade with the New England Patriots down to the number 3 overall pick, which will likely get you the best wide receiver prospect we've seen in the last 20 years. You must give up, obviously, the first overall pick, and in return, you will get the number 3 overall pick, the Patriots second round pick, which is number 34 overall. So pretty much a first rounder again. The Patriots 2025 first round pick. Mortgage, that's a team that might have the first overall pick next year. Even if they have Caleb Williams. And then 2026 third round pick. So really far down the line with that. So you get a total of the number 3 overall pick, second round pick, number 34 overall, 2025 first round pick, and a 2026 third rounder in exchange for number 1 overall. Yes or no?
No, you need way more than that.
What do you need?
I mean, you need a 2026 third rounder is outrageous.
It
that
is
has
outrageous.
to be a first or second rounder.
How about a 2025 second? That would be
So that would be what? Number 3?
Number 3, number 34,
34.
2025 first rounder, 2025 second.
I would still want like another mid rounder attached to that.
Agree.
But yeah, that's a no for me.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably no for me too. I think I need more. I need more. But like again, you're getting all of that in return, and you're getting the best wide receiver prospects that we've seen in the last 20 years. I feel like you're like out on Marvin Harrison Jr. Or I feel like you like don't think he's going to be that good, or you just don't think.
I just don't think he's going to be available. Okay. I just don't think you're going to have a chance to draft
unless you go down to 3. Then you have a chance to draft him.
Sure. I mean, I still think you would be in play for a quarterback in that scenario.
Yeah.
But
I think you'd be in play.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be in play, but I don't think he's going to be available. Like, I think the Bears either take Caleb Williams or they trade down into a position where he won't be available. I could be wrong, obviously, but that's just how I feel about it. That's why I haven't thought about him that much. It's just because I don't think it's going to. That seems like a very low probability scenario to me. I forget what I was going to say, but I think we're like underrating how much teams might want Caleb Williams. Like we've been talking about him for 2 years. That hasn't gone away.
Okay,
he's been a consensus number 1 overall. I feel like we're underrating how much teams are going to be willing to give up. Like I think you might get like a desperate team who's just ready to who's like you might get like the Broncos insane. Like they might be insanely desperate. Or or maybe it's the Falcons because they know they have the talent supporting otherwise to throw everything at you. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but just how we view or how the league views Caleb Williams, it feels like we're not expecting enough in return in a potential trade.
I agree. So I don't know if other teams get desperate because other teams may think the gap between May and Williams and Daniels, like they might all have them around the same tier. But the one team that we have to focus on is the Washington Commanders. And here's why, when you talk about desperation, here's why they fit the bill. Cliff Kingsbury, obviously off in the corner. That's like number 1. This is a team with a brand new owner that has struggled to make a splash in this league in a division that's among probably the most popular division in the NFL because it's got one of the most storied franchises in the Eagles and the Cowboys, who are America's team, and the New York Giants, and the depth of it has been the Commanders for the longest time, right? And they had one good year with RG3, and Dan Snyder's fucking everything up. So in comes the new owner, Adam Harris, is not Adam Harris, something Harris, and Josh Harris, and he comes. Needs to make a splash, right? Hires Dan Quinn, a reputable name in the NFL. Brings in Cliff Kingsbury. This is a team that can't put butts in the seats of the stadium. Of a team that's got a pretty big fan base. Again, they've been around for a while. He might go. In this owner, it seems like Josh Harris is like involved. Like it seems like he's involved. He might walk and take a lap right into that situation room or whatever you want to call it, the draft room, and say, you know what, if this is our offer, we got to throw another first rounder in there. We got to throw something else in there because we need Caleb Williams to at least just get people. People will show up game 1 if Caleb Williams is there. We'll sell fucking tickets if he's on the team. Even if he struggles down the road, we're selling tickets for a year. Oh, we're selling jerseys of Caleb Williams, number 13, in the burgundy and gold. We know that for sure. So I think when you talk about teams that are going to be desperate, like it's Washington. And if you can get like the trade proposal we read doesn't have a future first. If you get a future first from Commanders and go down 1 spot, that still gives you the ability to take Drake May or whoever it may be, or Marvin Harrison Jr., you have to say yes. And I think that is just the team that that's the most likely scenario. I don't know if they'll go to 3. I don't think they'll go further. I don't think they'll do what they did last year and go to 8. So that's when you talk about desperation, I think it's Washington that's going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like just because they were sellers at the deadline too, it just feels like they might be still. I don't think they view themselves as like a quarterback away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but why does that matter though?
But sure, yeah, they could just be like, all right, if we get this right within the next 3, yeah. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I would be a little surprised.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion on how I view Washington.
Yeah, fair enough. They would be the type of team that would trade up and then take like Penix or something, or JJ McCarthy one overall. Be so
well, yeah,
funny.
I mean, you might get a team that does something weird.
I got a couple more trade offers for you. So you said no to the Patriots one. This one's been coming around. I don't know who released this, but there's been smoke about the Giants potentially being involved.
Moving on from Daniel Jones.
It was like you have to. I don't know how you eat that contract from a salary standpoint. But this is the projected, hypothetical trade on NFL.com for a Bears trade to the Giants, who own number 6 overall. So obviously the Giants get the first overall pick, and in return, your Chicago Bears receive an absolute haul of the number 6 overall pick, the Giants' second round pick, number 39 overall, the Giants' third round pick in 2024, number 70 overall, a 2025 first round pick, and a 2026 first round pick. 3 first rounders, a second rounder this year, an early second rounder this year, and a third rounder this year.
Yeah, it's a slam dunk.
That's the best trade I've ever seen.
Yeah.
On a hypothetical.
You have to take that. 3
first rounders?
Yeah. I mean, including extra picks in the top 70, 100%.
You could be a top 3 team in the NFC next year.
Yeah.
Like, that's
you do that. You don't even let them put the phone down.
No brainer.
Yeah.
And that's a team, when you talk about desperation, like, are they a quarterback away? Maybe, they
went to the playoffs a year ago, so I guess.
Yeah, I guess Saquon Barkley's on his way out.
They won games with Tommy DeVito, so
they sure did, and I'm sure Brian Dable would love to have Caleb, but they might be in a spot where they can sit back and take Daniels at 6. Yeah. Daniels might be top 5. Last one here. This is just outrage. Like, this is never going to happen, but it's kind of fun to read. This is a trade with the Atlanta Falcons. So who have the 8th overall pick. So obviously Bears give up number 1 overall, and Khalil Herbert is also just thrown in. So the Bears received the first round pick from the Falcons, number 8 overall. Receive Bijan Robinson, the 3rd round pick in 2024, number 74 overall, a 2025 first rounder, and a 2026 second rounder. I got to be honest, Bijan Robinson could have the potential to be a top 5, top 10 running back in NFL history. Like, he's that good. I think. I say no to that.
I think I
need more.
Do too. You need more draft capital.
If you get 3 first rounders from New York at number 6, and you don't get 3 from Atlanta at 8,
yeah, that's a no for me. It would never happen, but
because Khalil Herbert is too much.
Yeah, right. No, sure, why not? That's a no for me. You need more draft capital than that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, those are the 4 hypotheticals. So again, among the 3, we kind of believe that one with the Giants is the best if you're going that route of keeping because you still get a Dunze there at 6 probably.
Yeah, or Malik Neighbors or one of the edge rushers in Joe Alt. That's a slam dunk. I
got a couple more things for you before I head out. I've seen this a lot, and this is just something that's crossed my mind. When we talk about the thing that frustrates me about the Fields and Williams and the evaluation of Justin Fields is you're settling for less with Justin Fields is the general consensus. Like, if you're not taking Caleb Williams, if you're not taking Caleb Williams, you're settling for less because Justin, we know we've seen it for 3 years. We know what he can and can't do, and people believe that his ceiling might be capped or whatever.
Sure.
And we know what the greatest could be that he is. I don't think that's true. Obviously, I think he could still be better than what he's shown because he had a play caller who didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Literally watched the Packers game. Watch that last game of the season. We all know what Luke Getsy did to this offense. But I don't think people really understand. And I tweeted this at you. Look at Justin Fields' pass rating when throwing to DJ Moore.
Yeah.
It's significantly better than his pass rating thrown to anyone else. I think it's around 110. And Cole Kmet's around 105. His pass rating is better when he throws to good players. Do you understand? He would be a significantly better player if Marvin Harrison Jr. were on the team. His ceiling immediately goes up the moment Marvin Harrison Jr. gets selected as a Chicago Bear.
Sure.
Do people? I just don't think people understand that aspect of the argument.
It feels why it would feel like a consolation prize is because it's like you said, you have it already. It's already it's like you already have him on the roster.
No, what do you mean?
That's why I'm saying the stipulation of it feels like a consolation prize because Justin Fields is already here. He's already played in a Bears uniform. You already know what you get basically. Yes, he could be better. And that's obviously your opinion, your personal opinion of Justin Fields, comes into account here if you're listening to this or whatever, watching this and you're thinking about it. But I think that's why it would feel like, missing out or whatever. Because then also, like, do I agree that Justin Fields can be better? Yes. His ceiling is probably, maybe maybe an MVP level, but, and we've talked about this a bunch before. Yeah. Is it likely that Caleb Williams is Patrick Mahomes? No, it's not likely.
It's not. It's zero.
Is it within the range of outcomes? Yes.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, Jake.
You can't say that without having watched him play a single NFL snap.
Sure,
you just can't.
Is anyone like Patrick Mahomes?
We don't know.
He's one of one.
We don't. People said that about X quarterback and the past.
Fine.
Like that. There's no way that hasn't been said before about Brady, about Manning, about pick whoever, any of the greats from our lifetime, and even before then. It's been said before until somebody comes along who's the next one of one. That's what happens. That's human. That's sports. That's what happens. There's one of one until there isn't. Okay. Until it's like the meme. Until somebody builds a bigger bomb. Like until a new quarterback comes along. Like that's just what it is. Like it's within his range of. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Before everyone gets mad at me in the chat because I see the comments rolling in. Before everybody gets mad at me, I'm not saying that he's going to be Mahomes. And again, I started this by saying Justin Fields' range of outcomes is MVP. Caleb Williams might be in his range of outcomes. We don't know. We can't say no for sure. Might be Patrick Mahomes. And that's why people feel like Justin Fields is a consolation prize or like second place, or it's not as fun because he's already been on the roster. You've seen him play in a Bears uniform.
Yeah.
So it's part of the excitement of the unknown with Caleb Williams. That's why people like it better.
No, I agree with the excitement of the unknown. That's going to be the thing that excites me if they take Caleb Williams, is that excitement of the unknown. But at the same percentage chance of excitement is the same percent chance of fear. And baked into that fear is just years and years of trauma from being a Bears fan, right? I mean, that's really what it is. And the same cycle of, okay, you have a lame duck head coach with a rookie quarterback again. We've seemed to have forgotten that aspect of this whole thing that scared the hell out of us on January 10th when they decided to retain Matt Eberflus. I mean, that was the biggest fear, was when they retained Matt Eberflus, we came in here and said, this means they're keeping Fields.
Yeah.
Because they can't do this again. And we've completely forgotten that. And we now just believe that Caleb Williams is transcendent of whatever happens at the coach situation. Like that's the narrative, is that if he's good enough, they can fire whoever and it doesn't matter who the coach is and he'll be fine. That's not how the league works. That's not how sports work. And like, maybe it works in the NBA because coaches don't really like. LeBron James has been the head coach of the Lakers for the past 5 years. He was the head coach of the Cavaliers for 6 years. Right. But in the NFL, and we've seen it time and time again, and you can, maybe make the case that Brady made Belichick really good because Belichick struggled since Brady left. But in general, he lost his job and now doesn't have a job anywhere, whether by choice or not, we don't know. But again, you might want to make Patrick Mahomes' argument, Hall of Fame head coach, right? You want to take, other guys, and it's typically not going to happen where a quarterback comes in with a lame duck head coach who gets fired after a year and is just going to be as successful as those other guys who are already going to be in the Hall of Fame. So again, these are just things to consider. With that being said, like, let me make it clear that excitement is still 100% in me. Like you watch Caleb Williams tape, you look what he can do, and there's undeniable excitement that he could be unbelievable when he's drafted. It's just, you also have to take, like, the people who believe that seem to neglect the unknown aspect of it. They seem to act like acquiring Caleb Williams, immediately he's better. Immediately he's this, immediately he's that. You can project that, but you don't know that. And we know how good situations have to be in the NFL. And you really have to ask yourself, is this a good situation for this quarterback? And I don't know if it is. We don't know enough about Shane Waldron. If I had to guess, and we know it's not the best it could be, but it could be good enough for him to be successful. So, again, we'll do this over and over and over. We will until it happens. The Bears have done a phenomenal job, honestly, for us, by keeping this thing going for content purposes. Because whether you like it or not, this shit hits. That's all people want to hear about.
That's why everybody's talking about every day on every show, on everything.
Every network. Yeah. Like, turn on Get Up in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What should the Bears do with the number 1 overall pick? It's hilarious. But we got the combine coming up. We got free agency coming up. So it'll be an exciting time, Jake, and we'll see what happens.
I do think that something happens within the next couple weeks.
For the pick?
Yeah. I think something happens, whether it's Fields getting traded or the pick. I think one of them happens soon.
Okay, let me ask you this. He went on the podcast and said he wants this to be over.
Mm-hmm.
Would the Bears ever approach it like, for his sake, we're going to get this done quickly? Because people have said that, and I'm like, no.
No, I think they do it for themselves.
Yeah, like they don't care about doing it for him.
Right.
Yeah, like they're going to do their due diligence.
I'm sure they're not going to send him to the CFL, but like, I'm sure they'll try to do right by him. But at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah. That Fields all black Atlanta jersey, though.
Yeah, I mean,
do they win the division next year if he's a Falcon?
Yes. They might anyway. That division sucks.
Yeah.
The division is so bad.
I guess the Bucks.
Yeah, you think
Bucks
you're not
won a playoff game?
Yeah, the Bucks don't have a quarterback right now either.
Did they win a playoff game?
No. Yes.
Who did they beat?
No, they lost the Lions.
First round?
Yeah. No, they beat Philly.
Yeah.
Okay, we got there. Yeah, I mean that division stinks. So you're afraid of Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. Anyway,
Bryce Young.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Bryce Young with a first
Still would
year head
hurt.
coach for sure.
Still would hurt.
But all right, this has been Bears Nation Pod. We'll talk about it again. I think something's gonna happen soon. So when it does, we'll be here and we'll break it down and we'll talk about it. Whatever the compensation ends up being.
March 7th, they trade the pick.
March 7th. So you're saying the next.
Remember I
10
called
days?
it last year?
You did.
I
so
called
you're
it to
saying
Carolina.
the next 10 days.
The
Right?
next 10 days, they trade the pick to Washington.
March 7th would be exactly 10 days from now. All right. Well, we'll see you in 10 days, I guess.
I'm definitely so wrong, but
yeah, well. But until then, this has been Bears Nation Podcast. Appreciate all the listeners and the viewers. You guys are the best. We'll see you whenever something happens. Until then.